And this is what I would call a clean motor. You know, just looking at, you can see the top of the piston here. There doesn't seem to be any wear at the bottom. You know, this is just a stream of oil. But you can still see the ridges in the piston, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe it's not that kind of piston. I don't know. But you see some up and down scratches, but it's kind of normal. It's not. This is not a lot of sludge. You know, it's crazy. It really isn't. It's just barely getting like a little layer. You know, which is really good. This is hard to do with one hand. Very hard. But the head gaskets actually look good. Didn't look like there was anything ready to break through. I thought there was a little something on this side here, but it just kind of leaked out of that hole there, so I'm not really worried. It's very clean, other than the shit that fell in. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm gonna blow all this out, clean it all out. So I was like, damn, is this a 360? Because it looks so big, but truthfully, the piston size is not really that much different. But I flipped it over. It said 318 on the bottom, so I was like, that means I bought a bunch of stuff that was not correct. But no, it wasn't the case. So yep. So clean up and paint. Let's see what I can get done today. If not, during the week, I have time. Got all the gaskets clean for the most part. Of the things I needed to clean between the old engine and the new engine. All the heads are cleaned off. And I've got the block cleaned off. As far as the gasket surface is concerned, I'm going to spray it down with some shit. I'm going to remove this undoubtedly. And I got to get this seal off here. But it's been a very messy day. And it's going to come to an end soon because I'm dead. But, the amount of fucking dust and everything breathing in. The blue gasket, it turned to dust. It wouldn't even scrape off because I put bright stuff on both sides, and that stuff really fucking sticks. And if you don't want to leak, you use that stuff. But man, it sucks if you have to go back into it, especially like immediately after you've done it. Fucking rough. So, after using a wire wheel on an angle grinder, this is as clean as it's going to get. I got so much rust. This place was a whole cloud. As you can see, there's always going to be something. And then I cleaned everything down with brake cleaner over and over and over and cleaned up the cylinders. And I did the best I could cleaning everything. And it all came out pretty damn nice, you know. And it's important that after you spray everything down, what happens is it put a layer of oil all over the surface that I made. So I re-cleaned it, and then I took a rag with brake cleaner and I really rubbed it in. And I was rubbing all these little spots and everything, but it's going to be good. And I tell you, this is pretty clean. I mean, you can see cast iron now. In some cases, the black paint, and there's still some rust. I can't get in all the little places, but this is fine. And give something to paint to adhere to, but there's definitely no chunks like there were. There was a lot of chunks. So right now I'm going to put this thing on with the Hughes adapter. So I don't know if I can film this because I can't even remember what the hell I did. I'm pretty sure it is what it is, but I'm just trying to remember what went on first and what not. And I believe I got to take out this keyway, and I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not even sure if I have the goddamn directions, so I gotta play with this a little bit before I film it. And even then, I may not film it, I may just go up there, you know. But ultimately, you know, they give you the instructions when you buy it, but it was, you know, a little, not, I don't want to say funny at all, but it's just it required some concentration and whatnot, so I'd rather not film it, to be honest. So I filmed that one, all right? That's right on the money. And the motor spun over beautiful, by the way, for a junkyard motor. I see there's a little rust actually here in the cylinder, so it had something, you know, but this is nothing. Compared to the other cylinder, the other engine was kind of, you know, held up a bit. but you can actually see the crosshatch pattern in here. So all this rust, it spun over fine, so I don't see it being an issue even. It was just freestanding water from a valve being open, like moisture, I should say. I don't see this being an issue. Head gaskets weren't even bad, so I don't think anything's from that. And ultimately, I think that's the only cylinder that had something like that, probably because the piston was right there. I did crank it over a bit because the timing chain had to be lined up. But looking good. I'll probably not going to bring the heads with me today because it's Saturday and the guy ain't open till Monday. So I actually cleaned back here a bit, but I got to clean the flange off here that was sitting out in rust. And I got to get the standard transmission bushing out. So once I do that, I got to get it, either back on the engine stand or on my come-along hoist there on the ceiling. And then I can start doing something. I think I'm going to get some of the gaskets tomorrow, hopefully for the timing cover. So I'll paint it, put the timing cover on, but right now I'm going to put the timing chain on. Let's see how that goes. Okay, quick video, because this was stuck in here, and I thought this was on first, but I got, realized this goes over that. So the keyway, it's meant to just basically grab this and kind of help lodge itself. Like once this is in, it kind of lodges in there, but they're both going onto this timing gear, okay? Because this is from the LA motor. I don't know if it's any different on the Magnum. So ultimately, you put this guy on. And I wasn't sure about this because I didn't really, I didn't know what I was doing either back then, but now I'm a little more curious. You could see how the other thing is in the same thing. It's really not going anywhere. All this is doing is driving the fuel pump eccentric. However, they do want you to put this so it kind of goes under that. It doesn't help that I fucking whacked it, but I gather it'll be fine, or it'll find its way. Now, I don't think it's going anywhere. This guy here, I did smack it in, so this may not be all the way. It may have gone in, but before I did that, I realized when I did that, I see it's as a space there. I'm sure now when I tighten it, it'll all straighten itself out on each other. This doesn't help. I'm not putting the chain on. This is for entertainment purposes only. But now you can see, and I didn't obviously, this is funny. I thought when you tighten it, maybe I have more to go. So I'm going to show you the final result, and anything weird, if it doesn't pull in, I'll show you. Okay, I put the original one in. It's like you can hear the play, but you can't feel it. So I'm a little concerned now that there's something wrong here. So it's possible, I got to see which timing chain I bought, because it's a possibility that you have to use the one from the LA motor or something like that. I mean, I don't particularly find there's anything weird with this, but perhaps I should knock it out because, I just don't know if it's preventing it from going all the way in. I always was under the impression they were the same. So I'm a little worried about that kind of play. That's very interesting, to say the least. So I'm going to do a little more research on this and see how much different these are, because it's a possibility that I got something wrong here. So when I tighten the original bolt, it don't move. So this spacing here does not appear to be correct, and I don't know if it's like I was supposed to use an LA timing chain. I mean, it doesn't look outlandish as far as the depth there, but I mean, I would have to say that this is definitely more. So this is interesting, and I'm kind of worried that I have something weird with the keyway. Doesn't help that I got a piece of dirt in there. Okay. I don't know if I should do this without the keyway, because this is a very, very tight fit, from what I remember. Yeah. When you look, see, that didn't even go in right. Shitty hammer. So that guy went into there, but that didn't go in. So let me just take out the keyway here, because why would you want to put, see, there's a space right, no, there's no space. Oh, there's a space on this side. So what is that, not in straight? Okay, yeah, it does not appear to be in straight. Let's see what happens when I tap it with a real hammer. And what happens if I go without it and tighten everything up? Does anything change? I'm going to put this bolt in, just for the hell of it. All the way in, all the way out. It seems like it's kind of crooked, isn't it? I can't tell if it wants to touch that. I don't know if I should pull it in with this first. I'm going to play with it some more. So I'm kind of a dummy, because the shim that I was thinking I needed because there was a difference in the depth was going to be made up by this, by a long shot. It's like, oh my God, I forgot to put this in the whole equation. You know, this thing really doesn't like to fit around there, and it was kind of mushroomed already. I just made it 10 times worse. I just filed the shit out of it. But in the end, it's like I'm trying to fit it into the other one there. It's really not about that. It's that one is locked into the cam gear, and this is locked into the cam gear. So with this guy in here, which is also a little bit fucked up now, this should all, kind of work without any issues, So it's really a soft keyway. It's not that great. But ultimately, you got to put everything in separately and have this protrude out, so it does get hung up on that. I just hope it doesn't go in now, because things are worn. Even that guy moved up a lot, and then I had to hammer him down. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And I just realized it's not that great. This whole thing, I mushroomed the shit out of it, because apparently I didn't have it lined up. And I'm a little worried, but I filed it down. I hope everything's going to fit. I don't think it's going to go further than that on its own, per se. But if you, what do you call it? I don't understand even why there's a keyway in this thing. It's really not even necessary. I might have not even contacted it, because it's so fucking tight. But the keyway, should be in this. The original one, that just went over the original keyway that was in there. And then you put a flat washer bolt over it. So I don't see what the problem is, So there's no reason. There was no reason for that little notch in there, in my opinion, unless there is a point where it gets close to that. But why would you? I don't understand why you would want that to be small, because it can kind of get underneath it. I'm not quite sure, the back end of it. I just hope that this eccentric now fits on here, See, I even fucking put a mark there. Ugh. I don't even know how I got that off, because I was trying to line it up. It kind of lined up. You can't really line this up very well. So I'm like, well, why is it even there? It doesn't even need to be there. If it was, level with this, and if that was your intention, you could just bolt a flat bolt on there. The original flat bolt, in fact, would probably work, and just hold it in place, and probably hold it in place better. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with this, It's a little funny. It just seems like a bunch of unnecessary stuff to charge you $35. But, oh well, let's see what happens. It's like it keeps going inside, and it's not a lot contacting that. It's funny. And it's like, why wouldn't I just want to put a flat bolt on there if that thing was just the way it was? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I'm a little bewildered by all of this. Totally understand the inset part, but that could have been flat. And as long as this guy didn't continue to go, see, the other one is it looks like a Buccaneer ship. And I don't know if that has a tendency to move, so they did it like this, but it ain't like it's protruding to get to this step here. So I don't understand. I'm not even sure if that's something I did now or before. I'd have to look at video if it's even on there, but it's like, I can't even, and then when you tighten it, it might push it in further, so but it'll push it in further, but it shouldn't push it in more than whatever the what do you call it is, it's like you could try to get it here, but this might have just been fine. Just maybe this mark was just there, because it really is not a lot it's not like you could just find it. It's a very, very tight fit on there to try to get that. I don't quite understand it. And they could have made the keyway a lot longer than for that reason. There's no reason why the keyway couldn't have just stayed in here and then you poke it through, or be part of it, for that matter. I'm not 100% sure. It's a little weird, to say the least. So, and obviously the more I was tapping this piece in there to catch it up, now the cam moves back, so you got to pull the bolt to pull it forward. And when you pull it forward, and maybe that's why I got smashed, because it does move the thing. So you do have to use this, and it does help then, a little bit, but I don't see how it really does actually help. I don't see how it actually, does anything. So I'm going to put it off center first, I think. I got to try to pull it through first. It's kind of weird, to say the least. See what happens. So I tightened it. At least I got it in the right place. But I realized that mark there that I made is still there from when I was not aligned, I guess. Come on. So it's kind of pinched. It means it's not sitting straight, among other things. So, you can snap the front of the cam off, I guess. But I got to take care of that somehow. And it's funny how they want this notch facing up. It's like, why wouldn't the notch be facing down then? I'm not 100% feeling this. I mean, I guess it's got to engage it, but it's engaged. This is pretty thick, that secondary piece. Why wouldn't it just be fine on that? It's really trying to avoid this one. And you see, it looks like it pushed it in again. Yeah, there's something wrong. This is not good. Something's going to end up getting fucked up here. I don't know why that's constantly moving it now. Fuck. The more I do this, the more I'm like, this is so weird. So these two together, when you put the fuel pump eccentric on it, that's basically the thickness of the fuel pump eccentric. So what's holding it is whatever little nipple is coming out of there. So I'm not quite sure. And, they don't tell you shit in the directions as far as I'm concerned. Like they could say something like, it's very tempting to put it the wrong way around, blah, blah, blah. Because why would I want this little tiny thing, the only thing holding it up? Now, granted, kind of fucked it up, but come on. Yeah, it didn't quite look like that before, but it throws me off. And I thought I had it right, and I did, but it's still messed up because I guess I forced the pin in somehow more than it should. I don't understand it. And they're not clear on the procedure, so I don't know if this just falls out of this easier, so that if you ever had to take it apart, this just comes right off, because it just is basically hanging out there. Sorry. It's just hanging out here. Well, why can't it be a square then? This is what I don't understand. Why would you want less? But then I guess it holds tight into that adapter, where you want everything else to hold tight, and then just to kind of be a nub, I assume. But that's not going to fall out. You know, plus you have the bolt holding it. It's more of just prevent it from rotating. It's like it could have been done different ways for sure. Because it's like I'm just a little funny about this whole thing now. Like this outer part does not even need to be, because like I said, the original one, the dowel pin would come right. It doesn't even matter. The dowel pin doesn't even come up there. You would just bolt it, and it would, with the space there and everything, you just bolt it to the torque spec. Sorry, you bolt it to the torque spec, and it doesn't even matter if it was sticking out or not. That was the bolt, like this one here. Like if I was leaving it Mopar Magnum, this would be like this. And the only difference is the other snout is longer, and it protrudes out, and it does the job of this right here, the center part. So right now, I gather the reason why they want you to put the smaller end, which, like I said, is fucked up. And it's like, I don't know why the small end would be on the bottom as opposed to the top or vice versa. It's like, you know, this is the way it goes, but they don't tell you, you know, what happens when you don't put it the right way. It's very odd, you know, like I wish they tell you to follow directions and they don't tell you why when something looks funny, if you've done a few things in your life, of why things are the way they are, you know. So I gather they want this thing to kind of stay together as an assembly so that if you had to remove it, it all comes off and it just folds right out of this. It's not really pressed in. I just tightened the original bolt head to pull this forward, but you know, then you have to, this has to be pressed into that basically. So it's a fine line of how all this shit works, you know. So I gather I should put this in first, this centerpiece, you know, right here. Like I had it, because that's the way when I took off the thing, that stayed in there. It's very odd all the way around, you know. So something tells me that, like I said, this thing here is just, it's just hanging out, preventing it from going side to side. And I might just switch it over from, I'm not quite sure. I guess it makes it align easier that way then, perhaps. It's odd to say the least. Because I guess this way, it's really, I think it goes in. I mean, I have it on my phone, but it's not clear of why they're telling you to do it a certain way. So I'm all about the why. So basically, when all this is together like this, I let it protrude out that much, okay? And what I think I have to do now, and the thing is, you can't do it now that I think about it. The thing is that eccentric, this is recessed in there, so that has to, but that's going to push this washer out, and then it only contacts on the outside edge anyway, and then there's a space between the two pieces, no matter what. Because right here, when this is bottomed out, what's this thickness here is exactly the thickness of the eccentric. So basically what I was going to do is if this all slid in, I was going to make it all slide in and go flush. But now I realize it has to be enough for the other thing to go in there, the eccentric. This is all very, very odd. Now that being said, this thing does not want to walk. If I leave it like that, it hammers that. And I think that's what happened ultimately. So it's like, how do you freaking decide this? It ends up being now, more that I think of it, I realize that when this thing's flushed, it has no room for that. So this is all got to go flush to each other. And that's something they should be telling you to do. And if it's flush, I don't understand why wouldn't they just tell you to make it flush or make it just one square? I don't understand why it has to be the stepped shit, other than coming out easy. But it doesn't come out easy because it's a press fit inside here. Granted, it's only holding a little tiny nub there, but it's very odd. Okay, so then I realized there's still a problem with the thickness of that. Because like I said, when that's all the way in, you have just the thickness left, but some goes in here. So now I realize this definitely has to be flush because it could only go as far as that. Maybe a tiny bit in further. But now I guess the proper way would be to put this in first. And I just worry about tapping it in. I almost want to use the original washer to kind of push it in, because technically this should not be under a lot of stress. It should go right in. What's under stress is the center part here, which now I've hammered on this, so now it doesn't fucking just go right through. I mean, this is not a hardened fucking material, which is kind of silly. So, and it does not seem that it went in very far, which I don't kind of expect it to. Yeah, that part's bottomed out. So now that this is like this, okay, this is sticking out just enough. But the problem is they don't let this thing go on this is very tight. And if you try to put it on, it seems like it will also push the thing. It's almost like it would be better if it was half tall on this side, because then it would avoid that. I almost want to grind down the corners because it's an awful tight fit, and then it starts to push. And once that's bottomed out, it really doesn't seem like it matters where this goes. Why would it? You know, but there's definitely going to be a space between here and there, which they made it sound like you don't want that, but apparently that's fine, because there was a space there in the beginning anyway between the relationship between the washer and the thing. But like, it really doesn't matter where this goes. I don't know why they even give you that notch there if it wasn't going to be long enough, and if it wasn't just going to go in easy, you know. So if I start pushing this, I'm kind of figuring that you could probably even just use the original bolt. Man, it really doesn't want to. Just by tapping it a little bit in the front, like it was like, it's not just straight through. Everything's tight going together. See, the thing is now you can't. Whoop. Oh, happened here. All right. Thing is now you can't see the. I lost the light. Now you can't see if it's actually in. Okay, there it is. It's in the groove. I don't know. This will probably initially get it on, but it may also. I'm just thinking for a second here. If we take this out again, I'm thinking it should technically stop. Yeah, because this is up higher. This is almost even with this anyway. It may not do anything, but I still don't see it not pushing on that, because it seems like it doesn't really want to. I don't know. I don't know if it was just easier to do the first time because nothing was going to fuck up like that. No, I just gave it a little hit. Yeah, it seems to be even now, but I don't know if it really. At least it got through there. So I guess the only problem is if there is anything protruding, which it really does not seem like it. It really doesn't seem like it. I mean, it's best to, I'm going to try to go for that notch, but it's not very clear. Where's the I need the aftermarket bolt. But that seems like you put that thing in, you put it flush because that pin can't go any further, but it will go further because it's so wedged in there. If it's able to glide through easier, then it just passes through. It's one thing if you nail it with this and it protrudes, but like I don't even have a safety net here. I almost want to use some other washer and hope that it doesn't push on that. That way, if it protrudes, I know how much it's going to protrude. And I don't quite recall what I did when I did that. It was protruding, but I wasn't sure. I'd have to measure it, I guess. I guess that's another thing you can do. It just seems a lot for this. It really does. It seems way too much. And it can go in a little bit more. So I don't see what's the problem with me putting this on any old way. It really shouldn't matter, you know? It should just hit it enough. And it was nothing wrong with it when I took it off the other one. So if that mark was from the first time, it may have just held the pin in then. It just maybe pushed it a hair, you know? But it's definitely weird. At least I don't have the play that I was having. But that's because I forgot this. So some of this stuff was my fault, but it's still not very clear. if they don't tell you what the goal is here, it's a little hard to figure it out, in my opinion, So I think this will be all right. I may try to find something, like I said, to tighten it. I'm probably making another video. Okay, so apparently now I said fuck it, and I just try to line it up best I could, and it actually worked. And when I tightened it, it actually pulled it through. So, and it doesn't seem like the very tip here interferes that much, I guess, and you can push it on. So it's just nice to know these little nuances of why things are the way they are. Maybe it's just me, but I can get a little distressed over it. I still think it could be made so much better. It's got to be. Or so much simpler. All right. So that should work when I tighten it. And now you hear it, but you don't really see the in and out movement. You have a good feel. It's fine. Isn't this fucked up? New chain is like that. So I'm not really worried. But this is a double roller, but I'm not quite sure. I gather maybe cam bearings, but it was the same thing on the other engine. Main bearings and cam bearings making a little bit of play. You'd be surprised that just a little tiny bit will do that. But so I'm not terribly worried. But now I got to clean the back. I got to get it up in the air, clean the back of the crank, and I guess figure out the to retap the holes on the back of the crank and paint the block. I guess hopefully it's I don't know. I'll see about taping it up. I don't know. I might just paint it best I can and then just take some brake cleaner and take off the paint of where the overspray is. I'll see though. I may put tape or put a piece of cardboard here blocking it or something like that. Cardboard here blocking, and then go over with some brake cleaner on a rag. Hopefully that'll be good enough. At least I figured that out. That's fine. Oh, that was a pain. It does protrude out to catch that thing, though. That's the weird thing, So it should work, but I can't say there's a ton in there, but it's flushing out with the other thing. But I would have rather the small end go here because I don't think it really needs to be in that outer one. That other one is just holding it on. But it is protruding out, though, so you can't go flush. So what are you going to do, But there's not a lot holding on the inside. Like I said, I just think it's meant to separate easier from there. I don't understand because the center one is way tighter than it should need to be because the cam is not like that. But then again, if the cam is a slide-on fit and you put another one that's a slide-on fit, it doesn't mean it's going to follow the same center line. So it kind of needs to be tightened there. So I understand what they did, but hopefully it stands the test of time and we're good. But this should not be bad. It's disturbing though that the timing chain, but like I said, the other block was the exact same way. Isn't that disturbing? It just seemed, I was like, wow, really? That's why they were on sale at Rock Auto. They probably know. But I don't see it being an issue. I don't like the original one. If that had 150,000, that was a lot. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. And it's a double roller, so it shouldn't hopefully stretch more than this. It should stay like this forever. And in certain case, it's giving you just enough advancement for a motor that's worn and whatnot. So maybe that theory works. We'll see. I don't know why I didn't film it, but this is incredible. I've been having a hard time removing this bushing, and I loaded it up with grease, and I hammered in something, fucked up one thing, and then, what do you call it? I was thinking that maybe that's still another piece there. I got to look at the other motor. But I loaded up grease inside there, and I got the bearing out. The bearing came out separately. I could not get this fucker out. And there's no lip here. It goes right up against this lip up here. And I was thinking, is that removable or something? And I knew there had to be rust there and whatnot. Something's weird. Obviously, the shaft ends up kind of touching that too. Not 100% sure. I got to look at the other motor. It seems like there's enough room here for a pilot bushing for automatic. I'm pretty sure that's usually only one piece. And the one that they sell here looks just like this. What I did to get this out, I had this piece of 3/4 pipe. I just went to the store, I went to Ace Hardware to get this cap because I didn't have anything to block it with. And these are weights for wheel balancers. Now, because that one's actually 3/4, but this one was heavier and bigger. I don't have a balancer for this, but I have these pieces because they help with the press and whatnot. So I got my 3/4 tap, and you can see it's actually crooked here. Okay, I started hitting. I tapped it and I screwed it in as tight as I could. I put a bolt here to block the crank from moving. And what's wild is that the first hit I did, I saw the thread starting to come out a little bit. And I was like, oh boy. So then I grabbed both of them because I left this one there and I only grabbed the one. When I pulled this off and I put both real hard, it fucking shot out halfway. And I'm like, oh, I got it. And sure enough, that worked. I have a pilot bearing tool, but you really can't get to it. There's no lip here. There's nothing to grab here, you know? So this was wild. I would do this again. I just don't know how I'm going to get this thing off. I mean, I'll put it in the vise, I guess, and then use the pipe wrench to unscrew it, basically, from that. But then that was difficult, I must say. But with what I had here, I was like, I can't believe this is really throwing me a curveball. But at least I got it out. So it's Sunday. I have nothing to do, but I might just give a coat of paint, like I was saying I was going to do. I haven't done it yet though, because it's taking a lot of my time. Not too shabby. All right, next step. This is how it looks when you have the heads resurfaced. I hope you can tell, but it's a huge difference. I don't really think I took pictures of the way they were before. And inside there are all the new seals. Right there, you can see the little spring. And the other modification that I had to do that was on the car last time, because I didn't know, is this had to be grinded down and this had to be grinded down. I had him do it because I didn't want metal filings to get everywhere after he got it back, after I got it back from him. Okay, my only problem is I fucked up completely on how much it costed. So prices went up a lot. So unfortunately, not what I wanted, but I'll eat it if I have to. So it's fucked up. But I'm also, I'm a little, he wasn't supposed to go all the way this far down, but I'm not seeing the edge. Basically, it's supposed to be one of these guys, and I see just the same thing on the other side, which that other side of the head is the same as this side. But I'm like, I don't see the edge, so I don't know if he kept going because he could, but hopefully this is not a problem because I don't see much of the expansion plug left. If it's supposed to be an expansion plug, because on the old heads I had to grind it on the car, which took me 6 hours. It was impossible to do in the car. It was very difficult, but I think I did a much neater job. I told him he didn't have to do this, but he did it, and I grinded all this down, and you could see the little line here where the expansion plug is, right there. And then this side, I had to grind this thing off because the bracket for the AC, the hose for the AC was hitting over here, and then this side the alternator was hitting, so you couldn't mount the alternator. And then I was reading up on it, and that's one of the caveats with putting a Magnum engine and using the old brackets. So it was kind of a mess because I had to have him do it, you know. But unfortunately, this is not what I wanted to spend. I might have just tried to do it myself. I can do it myself as far as the valve stem seals. I can't mill it, of course, but it was really worth it. I'm not saying they were that bad, but just to give you an idea, I was just test fitting this guy. But let me send this video and then I'll send another. Okay, now that I flipped over the engine, you could tell this looks fairly straight just by looking at it. You know, I got a little oil and whatever. I got to clean it up, but it's pretty straight, and the blocks usually are because they have the more dense part. But over the years, between the rust and everything, the head gasket, if you put a new one, it can only compensate so far. It's made to compensate, but if this is known to be pretty flat, okay, but the head is off, they're going to expand on two different rates, and it's eventually going to go bad, you know? Just like if you had high mileage, eventually the head gaskets go. I can't say that the gaskets were bad, you know, but it's just one of those things that we did it to be safe, you know, but when you have a brand new surface here, all machined perfectly, that head ain't going to get warped on this side, and then the gasket can compensate for what it needs to on this side. So it makes sense. It's just that I didn't know the prices changed. The prices were actually $65 originally for the mill, and he said, and the last time I had it done was like 2022. So he said, you know, it was $65, and then the seals were still $75 to do the seals, which is $5 a seal for the labor. Which, you know, you gotta compress this, you gotta take the spring out, you gotta take the locks out, knock off the cap, and then pop the new one on, clean the surface, and lubricate them, and blah blah blah. So, it's nobody's gonna do it for less than $75 anymore. You know, they used to do it cheap. So normally it'd be like $130 for the mill, and the cleaning was thrown in, and then the what do you call it? And then it was $75. So for the valve seal, so it'd be roughly $205, and maybe he gave a discount of $195. I could swear I paid like $180 for everything the last time, you know. And he told me that his milling machine broke about a year ago, and when it broke, he had to pay other people to do his work that was coming in, and they charge him $175 per head to mill. And they're like, get out of the 60s, man, you know, because he was like, can't you give me some kind of wholesale price? And they wouldn't budge. And he said, and then on top of that, it cost him, you know, like $1,500 to fix the machine. You know, like for 10 years, the machine didn't break down, but he had to fix it. He had to do, it's more than just maintenance. It was something broke on it, and he had to fix it. And so between that and everything, he was a more respectable compared to everybody else. $125 a mill. So it was $125 to mill each head. That's $250, and then $75 for the valve sim seals. He didn't charge me for cleaning it, but he charged me $50 to grind this shit off, which I know was hard. This is very tough material. It's very hard to grind into. Like I said, I'm not actually happy based on my instructions, and I gave him the pictures of the old motor. This was a little too far, but we'll see what happens. It could be fixed in the car if it had to be, but I don't have a choice right now. But I told him I did not know your shit changed, or else I probably wouldn't have done it, you know, and I'm going to eat it probably. If you don't want to pay, it's fine. I don't know what else to tell you, but I ended up getting $50 off. You know, and I can show you the text messages, but because he was working till, you know, I picked him up at 8 o'clock last night from the machine shop when they close at 5. So he was trying to catch up with a lot of work, and he actually did this for me in a day. He does take care of me when I ask him to do stuff, but I was shocked that it was this much money. So it costs as much as the whole fucking engine. And at that point, I might have just said, fuck it, throw it together, and then I would try to take apart the heads and do the valve stem seals myself. But it's like, I put a lot of time into it already. I just said, you know, let somebody else, you know, do something. And I didn't think it was going to be more than $225, maybe, you know. So it's $100 more than what I expected. But I know I told you $35. Oh, fuck, I'm making a long video. I know I told you $35, but that was like, I just misspoke. It's really $65 a head. I just know there's other expenses involved, and that's why it ended up in my head. It was the same price, but I was thinking, but to me, it's worth it, because you're never going to have to touch this. And, you know, even if you, like I said, if you ended up selling the car, you know that you did the right thing for someone else, you know, but I'm sorry all this shit's happened. It's just, in the end now, it's just the money. But I know it's going to run good. This one's going to be good. Okay, now that I flipped over the engine, you could tell this looks fairly straight just by looking at it, you know. I got a little oil and whatever. I got to clean it up. But it's pretty straight, and the blocks usually are because they have the more dense part. But over the years, between the rust and everything, the head gasket, if you put a new one, it can only compensate so far. It's made to compensate, but if this is known to be pretty flat, okay, but the head is off, they're going to expand on two different rates, and it's eventually going to go bad, you know. Just like if you had high mileage, eventually the head gaskets go. I can't say that the gaskets were bad, you know, but it's just one of those things. We did it to be safe, you know, but when you have a brand new surface here, all machined perfectly, that head ain't going to get warped on this side, and then the gasket can compensate for what it needs to on this side. So it makes sense. It's just that I didn't know the prices changed. The prices were actually $65 originally for the mill, and he said, and the last time I had it done was like 2022. So he said, you know, it was $65, and then the seals were still $75 to do the seals, which is $5 a seal for the labor. Which, you know, you gotta compress this, you gotta take the spring out, you gotta take the locks out, knock off the cap, and then pop the new one on, clean the surface, and lubricate them, and blah blah blah. So, it's nobody's going to do it for less than $75 anymore. You know, they used to do it cheap. So normally it'd be like $130 for the mill, and the cleaning was thrown in, and then the what do you call it? And then it was $75. So for the valve seal, so it'd be roughly $205, and maybe he gave a discount of $195. I could swear I paid like $180 for everything the last time, you know. And he told me that his milling machine broke about a year ago, and when it broke, he had to pay other people to do his work that was coming in, and they charged him $175 per head to mill. And they're like, get out of the 60s, man, you know, because he was like, can't you give me some kind of wholesale price? And they wouldn't budge. And he said, and then on top of that, it cost him, you know, like $1,500 to fix the machine. You know, like for 10 years, the machine didn't break down, but he had to fix it. He had to do, it's more than just maintenance. It was something broke on it, and he had to fix it. And so between that and everything, he was a more respectable compared to everybody else. $125 a mill. So it was $125 to mill each head. That's $250, and then $75 for the valve sim seals. He didn't charge me for cleaning it, but he charged me $50 to grind this shit off, which I know was hard. This is very tough material. It's very hard to grind into. Like I said, I'm not actually happy based on my instructions, and I gave him the pictures of the old motor. This was a little too far, but we'll see what happens. It could be fixed in the car if it had to be, but I don't have a choice right now. But I told him I did not know your shit changed, or else I probably wouldn't have done it, you know, and I'm going to eat it probably. If you don't want to pay, it's fine. I don't know what else to tell you, but I ended up getting $50 off. You know, and I can show you the text messages, but because he was working till, you know, I picked him up at 8 o'clock last night from the machine shop when they close at 5. So he was trying to catch up with a lot of work, and he actually did this for me in a day. He does take care of me when I ask him to do stuff, but I was shocked that it was this much money. So it costs as much as the whole fucking engine. And at that point, I might have just said, fuck it, throw it together, and then I would try to take apart the heads and do the valve stem seals myself. But it's like, I put a lot of time into it already. I just said, you know, let somebody else, you know, do something. And I didn't think it was going to be more than $225, maybe, you know. So it's $100 more than what I expected. But I know I told you $35. Oh, fuck, I'm making a long video. I know I told you 35, but that was like, I just misspoke. It's really 65 a head. I just know there's other expenses involved, and that's why it ended up in my head. It was the same price, but I was thinking, but to me, it's worth it, because you're never going to have to touch this. And, you know, even if you, like I said, if you ended up selling the car, you know that you did the right thing for someone else, you know, but I'm sorry all this shit's happened. It's just, in the end now, it's just the money. But I know it's going to run good. This one's going to be good. Had to buy a new torque wrench because all of mine are junk somehow, even a Snap-on one. Anyway, got that in. I got the rocker arms in, cleaned up the push rods, and I got everything all siliconed up here. I put it on the intake ports too, because number one, oil can leak out of this way. I've seen it with an aftermarket manifold such as this. So I don't know if I show that on the original video, because I don't have a visual video of that, so it ended up being I made this video for that. you know, like that. I was never going to make a video for this, and ended up being I did. So basically doing all the same things I did before. I got a little overspray because the heads were not painted. I really didn't want to paint them off the engine because I didn't want, you know, paint to drip on the machine surface areas. So I just said F it, and I'll touch it up here and there. But right now I'm going to put the manifold on. So somebody, I think I heard that somebody sells an oil pan gasket meant for this kind of setup. Otherwise, you have to take the brand new one-piece gasket and cut it. I cut it right where the metal is, and I just overlapped it. I put a whole bunch of right stuff, and I ran out of it basically, but I just had enough. I opened the thing there, and the thing is black because it's full of right stuff, and I just got enough in the corners, which is really all I needed. I don't think it's going to leak, but it was squished out, and then I took the extra step to wipe it in the front to make sure, you know, and I shoved right stuff right here. See where that pin is? Now, these things, the old school ones used to be very, very pliable, and you used to stretch them, they go right into the hole. I actually drilled out the hole because these things are so rough, they don't stretch, because you're supposed to pull that little tab, and the small tab breaks off. It broke off on the last one, and I just made it fit. I put a lot of right stuff, and that was it, you know. But it's I think it even seals better than the other one was, because I think the oil pan gasket actually cracked on me a little bit. So I dummied it up with more right stuff, but I put it on both sides. Man, it was a hell to get that. This is the 360 gasket. I bought I was originally buying this because it came, you know, it's a conversion kit, because it comes with the oil filter gasket, and it comes with the whole timing cover setup, and it comes with the oil pan rails and the timing seal. I didn't need the timing seal; it was brand new. And a bunch of things I didn't need in there, drain plug gasket and stuff like that. Rear main seal is apparently different. It seems to be bigger on the 360 for some reason than this one. Supposedly they take the same oil pan, but it wasn't really clear, because I remember when I put this guy in, I had a lot of trouble with it on the other motor. And I put a lot of right stuff and I shoved it in, and it kind of pushed all together, you know. Now, I know I didn't put the one-piece seal on my car that I have, and I know I used this because the same question came up back then, 10 years ago, and I remember it being a pain, but it didn't leak, so I know I did it the same way. But it doesn't matter, that motor's no good. So now I got the one-piece because I you know what, I want everything as, you know, foolproof as possible for this car. So I got to flip it over. I'm going to give one last torque to the intake bolts to make sure, and it's done. It's ready to go in the car. Okay. These holes look like they line up? Yes, of course. I don't know. Could we say that's lined up? Maybe? Yeah, I guess so. So I just started up. It's just barely running. I kind of feel like I hear a little exhaust leak, which kind of sucks if that's the case. Oh no, that's just a rocker arm diff. They're filling up with oil. That's a tick, because you know, the oil has to come up. Ultimately, the choke is on. There's no wire hooked up. I ain't got no antifreeze in it yet. The seal on the bottom of the drain plug is messed up. Very possible with the flanges underneath for the exhaust that I gotta, one side got tightened more than the other or something like that. Just gotta warm up once at least. It's very rough with the timing too. All the smoke's gonna come off from burning off from my hands. clean out things. Hasn't been run who knows how long. But I gotta put antifreeze in it, so I can't run it too long. So sounding really good. This smoke is just condensation. That'll go away when it warms up, but oil light went out. Everything is good, but it's charging again still. Everything's good, but I gotta put the antifreeze in. It was literally only running for like 5 or 10 seconds before I started filming. And then this is good to let the oils burn off the manifolds so I didn't get it too hot. So it gives a chance for the paint to break in. I have to get a different belt. Try to get one belt, and because I could put a wider belt on here, because that was part of the problem. The other original belt was like super stretched, and AI suggested a size of a belt, and they were wrong. So I'm gonna have to research it more. So far, so good. Okay, had a little scare with the radiator, thinking it was leaking. And I think what happened was I actually left it outside. I ended up probably getting a bunch of snow in it, and it froze because I didn't see anything. And unless I spilled something, because it didn't quite look like antifreeze, but in a certain way it kind of did. So I blew it away right now, and I'm not getting anything because I was revving the gas. It was pouring out of everywhere. So I realized that the radiator was just frozen in between with ice. I never even set the timing on this. That alternator belt probably needs to be slightly tighter. But it's sounding fucking awesome. The ticking noise went away by itself because that's what happens, I don't have any cables hooked up. I need special linkage. I need the linkage for the transmission. Transmission leaked out a bunch on me. I added one quart, but it ends up being it needs another quart. So I got to add another quart of that. But it sounds awesome and mean. It's actually, I'm revving it in neutral, and it's actually rolling forward because that's what it'll do. That's hilarious. Thing is, I don't have a gas pedal lift up, so oh, there we go. Now it went reverse. So I rode back a little bit, but it's a little low on fluid. And now it actually works in park because I figured out the adjustment for that. And I only put a 180 thermostat, which would be good for the summer, but it probably could have gone more. But the heat feels pretty good now. I wasn't getting good heat before when I had first driven it home, so I don't know what we had in there. I don't know if we put a 160 thermostat before we did the radiator, because if it was getting hot, but beautiful. Just starts right up. All right, so I got to figure out the belt for the AC, which it's going to work out pretty well because these compressors each compressor, they have different levels of the thickness of these belts, and they can take different belts. And the belt I had was a thinner belt, but these are actually allocating for a fatter belt. So I got a fatter belt, and AI told me, because it was a 15,555, and they said go to a 17,565. Because I know it's usually off a little bit, but going this, it's all the way at the end of the adjustment, and there's always some kind of stretch. I mean, I really can go with the original, the size of the other one, I'm thinking. So, and that's the only one that's available. There's one that's available at the 60 is available somewhere. I have to go to Levittown, the hub store, in order to get it, which I might do because it's closer to me now than it is going all the way back to my house and then 10 miles north. So I'd rather do that. And I might just buy both belts and return the one I don't use, and I'll bring this with me to return it. I bought a linkage for a thermoquad, but apparently it's not the same as the Edelbrock because this carburetor that I had, it was missing this guy. So the choke, I got to put the wiring for the choke. I got to get something to work. I may have to put an aftermarket one of these if this doesn't work out. But for all intents and purposes, this thing is running great. I put an extra oil pressure switch there, which turns on a circuit, which is going to turn on the choke. So I got to run a wire to that. I don't think I'm going to run the wire from the coil. If I do run a wire from a coil, I would be just to turn on a relay, which is a smart thing to do, But this thing started right, a couple of tries. It was like 10 seconds of cranking it, and it started on its own. I just had to give it a little gas at that point because I had to come outside to pump it because the gas pedal doesn't work until I hook up that cable. But yeah, this guy here could be a little bit more, but pretty awesome. Look at it, brand new water pump, and I feel a little tiny bit of play in it. That's fucked up. Oh yeah, look at that. I can push this though in a belt. It needs to be tighter. Maybe it's still, that's not what I like to see. But, this is very nice. And it looks nice too. And I have a plan for the air cleaner as well. This air cleaner I bought is really cool and all, but it doesn't have a breather, and I really want to put a breather. And a lot of people complain about this, and that's why it was kind of cheap, is they give you this, and it's a fancy one, but it doesn't reach, and it's in between. So I thought I'd do this, but then it still doesn't reach. And then rather than putting like two of something, I just got a spacer here. This spacer is probably going to be fine. You know, if I want a little more load, and depending how long the thing is, because without having to cut the stud, this thing here, it ends. You know, I can also drill through this to make it go through the top, because it's kind of a pain in the ass when it's just a dead thing, because you never have that option of really tightening it. So that's going to be a very different, you know, that's going to be fine, you know. As far as, and now it has a filter element on the top here as well as this, which is better than what my car has, because I have a little tiny thing. You would think the A body would be smaller under there, but my C body, I have no room after putting the carburetor on. I had to put this little tiny thing because I didn't realize that there was a difference between these. Now, that being said, this doesn't have the breather like I like. They usually have the punch out. So I might actually change the bottom to go with the one I have, which probably doesn't look as nice, but you're not going to really see it because it's the bottom. But I could just drill a hole. I have a kit to accept the breather, because I really want the whole breathing system to work properly. I never liked the chrome go fast breathers and stuff like that, because they just, I mean, this motor doesn't appear to have any bull bar, but the point is that you just don't want that, because you want to be able to put, you know, recirculate it, make it. That's why they call it positive crankcase ventilation. It sucks. It actually, the air sucks in here, and then it goes through here, and then into the engine to reburn it, whatever's there. And this is the proper hose for it, I believe. This is an emissions hose. You know, it feels like 5/8. This guy is called 1932s. I'm going to get that on. That's not going to be a problem. And then I'm going to go right to the air cleaner. So it'll be going to one of these spots here, and this guy here, you know, the line for the power brake booster, the vacuum line here, it's a little bit taunt now. It's plenty fine, but it's on a hair on the taunted side. But now that the engine is warm, like, it was really cold before, so it was like really stiff. But you want these bigger areas to go where the fuel line is here, and you're kind of pushing down then on this hose here, you know, and it's fine. It goes to a 90 degree, and then when it does cool off, it'll probably shape itself eventually. I just hope the owner doesn't have an issue with it. The original one was on this side, so it was no issue. And I got this original guy here that has the extra thing on there instead of going to the carburetor and whatnot. So it's kind of cool that it has this. And I can also get some kind of tie down where it uses one of the carburetor bolts, which I'm not even sure what stuff I bought. I thought I bought something for the linkage for this, so I'll have to look at everything I got. It was literally 4 or 5 months ago that I bought it. So something can be done. Whatever goes here can be zip tied to here so this stays down. Because as long as it, you know, has the vacuum, brakes are going to work just fine. And when this guy goes on, I'll probably put some kind of gas. I think it came with one also. So when that goes on, that's going to wrap down so you can put a bigger filter on there. Plus it breathes out of the top, although it's pretty much breathing through the insulation. But I'm sure there's some kind of space there. But this is going to be really nice. I can't wait to see how fast this thing is. It's probably wicked fast in this little car. So, you know, a modern one with a roller cam being much faster. It's this carburetor. I rebuilt it, And I didn't really care for the way it ran on my friend's 350, but I think it had more to do with his engine. But his car ran good with the we put the Demon thermoquad style carburetor. So I'm real happy. This sounds great. So just a matter of figuring out the transmission kickdown linkage and the throttle linkage. Like I said, I don't think there's anything. I was like, I can't believe there's something wrong with this radiator, and it wasn't. It was full of frozen water that melted. And I put a new battery terminal here because this was messed up. So that's going to be good. New power steering pump, new power steering hoses, new ignition coil that's hotter for this engine. Still have the same ignition system. You know, this is something that it went bad in my car after the 10 years. So maybe we'll put a performance one time just because they're probably better, but maybe not. You know, the stock one is fine. Whatever you get out of the auto parts store will be fine. And once I figure out the belt here, I think it'll be a lot more durable because it was stretching quite a bit. And the AC is not like proven to be perfect what I did. So there's some issue with how it gets too cold. You can't put a low pressure switch because then it just keeps turning on and off. So there's some issue with using the system the way it is. And this is pretty much the same on a new system. But the condenser could be different. It could be like a, you know, the new style condensers. This is like the old school with the line that goes all the way through it. And then it has this guy on the outside here instead of the inside like the other cars would have with the other style of, you know, under dash AC thing. So, I mean, I hooked up all the original stuff the way it's supposed to be, and I just had this modified to accept that and to run this here. I mean, it's as good as it's going to get for what I got it. So, all good things here. But I'm going to get the belt, and then I'm going to get this. I would like to figure out the linkage and get this going by the weekend so I can drive it. I was hearing that exhaust leak, and I took off the exhaust manifold. I realized I had a very difficult manifold to get out of the car, but I had to jack up the engine to get it out. And I noticed that the head was very close to this, and you can see there's actually, you know, it's hard to see on the camera here probably, but there's bare metal, and obviously you got the red thing in there, so that's why it was leaking out at the bottom. Just probably out of the whole thing. It can't really clamp properly at that point, so it just blew out whatever silicone was there, you know, because it got worse and worse and worse. I'm like, it's got to be something. And then when I looked underneath, I saw this very close. So either I got to groove this, which might be easier to do because it's off, you know, off the car, and either that or I got to try to grind down the, you know, the head. And I don't have the light on. My light got destroyed. Yeah, I can't show this at the moment, but hang on a second here. Yeah, that last boss, it's probably just a casting flash. It's also possible that the weight of the manifold did me in. It's very possible that because the other engine didn't make any noise, so either it has cast flash there, or it was a matter of me lifting up the manifold while holding it in. Like I literally could have bolted on the manifold when it was upside down, the engine. So it was not an issue. I pulled it away. But I think it's a little too close for comfort. I definitely am not going to be able to, I may be able to lift it up because I'm conscious of it now, but it's something that it really needs to be addressed. So I have a feeling I'm just going to grind that out. I also can have the die grinder and just go in the car. It'll knock that right off. It'll do a little bit of both. That can't possibly be good for the manifold either, you know. So it is what it is. I'll get it done. So I think I grinded off a significant amount there. But I think just to be safe, I'm going to also grind the manifold, because here's the thing, it might be only touching this. If I grind it just a little bit off that head, only where it's touching, then it may start touching here. And then it moves on and on and on. Obviously, it can only move as far as this. So I took a good amount off there, but I'm going to put a groove in this as well, just all the way across. I think it's going to be safe. So that's a good 16th to an eighth of an inch. It's got to matter. I'm debating if I should just bolt it up with 2 bolts even. I had to use a what do you call it? This stud was longer. I don't know if it's normally not that long. See, the original, it depends what came out of the Magnum motor. So some studs came out of the Magnum motor and some came out of that. So I used this one. And the Magnum motor, they put the ones here on the inside, but I think on this one they had more. They had on the ends, as you can see, and in the middle. So there was only like a regular bolt on each side, pretty much. Unless I'm wrong, and the one I took out was on this side. No, this one still has, because these don't usually come out because they go into water jackets where they don't do that on the Magnum. I kind of remembered that. But I had to jack up the engine to get it off, and yeah, this is the good one. And I probably dropped it. I hate that. I'm ready to show, and got it. Anyway, ultimately I had to use a little pipe wrench here to get it out. It's down here somewhere. Oh, my light's not on my phone again. Anyway, I think this is the right thing to do. Like I said, I think I have enough grinded there, and actually I gotta hit that the bottom of that port with the cookie disc, and maybe I'll hit the cookie. I'll smoothen that out with the cookie disc as well. I mean, I don't know if I should throw paint in there or not. But ultimately, it came out pretty good, all things considered. I'm just debating whether I should put right stuff on it like I usually do, because it's going to get a little messy here. Not quite sure. I could use gaskets, but I just hate gaskets because they always blow out. The original one never has gaskets, you know. But over time, there's always something matching up with 2 different sets of heads and everything. These are all issues, so the right stuff really works good for that, and it's good for 600 degrees, so it usually covers it as long as everything's running right. So I'm sure it won't be too big of a deal. I'll probably just put it on the head, but I feel like I want to save it for tomorrow, not tonight, but I'll see. Broken piece. See this guy? It's broken. Now the only thing is, it starts up nice. It doesn't seem too high, but now it's kind of in the high side. So I just want to barely touch the gas. And you see, if you go too hard, you'll go all the way down. You're just going to barely touch it. And the first 2 times I hit it, it actually didn't kick down all. This right now is a good speed for warming up and, maintaining, not stalling. I don't want to kick it all the way down to show you that it stalls because it's just negative to do that. But ultimately, it's been pretty good as far as that's concerned, And I can't remember, but I was thinking on the day that the heat really wasn't working good, but the heat's working good now, as far as I know. I don't know if I'm getting any kind of heat now because it's still cold, but also I don't have the button on, and I haven't gone over anything with the AC or anything like that, so if it still works or if there's any other problem with it. So it's all something we'll do as the temperature gets warmer and whatnot. But I would like to take care of the problem that is inside the transmission. It's just better for the car, and it's going to have a better driving experience overall. Oh, I did change the lights so that when you put the headlights on, oh, that's funny. Oh, wait, this is a new issue. Oh, that's wonderful. So when you put the headlights on, everything pins. I think we were seeing this already. Oh, boy. And maybe that's why something happened with this. So I'm a little upset about that. I think you had that already. Well, right there, it's kind of doing it. It takes a little bit. I don't want to push that. Oh, that sucks. So there's some issue, unfortunately. Good thing is I did this, and go to the right. New power steering pump, because that was leaking, if you remember. New power steering pump, new hoses. Yeah, see, that's another thing I got to look at. I don't like that. that might be the reason why man, I'm worried that there's something wrong in the cluster itself, because when the power comes on, it's putting power where it shouldn't belong. So I'm a little upset about that. So something's weird. Oh well. But like I said, I have time, so it's not going to be too much of an issue. Well, I mean, as far as, you know, getting things done in a timely manner, I have a little extra time. Okay, so I'm just seeing the temperature creeping, and the idle seems to be like higher than you'd like it, but it's fine. But I just kicked it down now, and it's not stalling. And I have the heat on basically high, you know, so I got some heat already with it just, you know, not moving too much. I just shut it off now, but I kicked it all the way down. It seems fine, even in this weather. So ultimately, it's just when you see the gauge start to move, you know, a little bit, you'll be fine. Okay, so I had to remind myself what was wrong here, and I don't know if it's the reason why your dashboard light stopped working, because it was definitely your switch here that was bad. But you see this? I have a piece of wire here. I'm grounding the wire to basically see, look, that screw is loose. I don't know if it'll change when I tighten it, but when I hold the screw and I hold it against there, and I open the lights, they don't move. They work like they should. When I let go, boom, pins out. Pretty crazy, huh? All I gotta do is just tighten those screws or ground it and it won't do it. Okay, so these two bottom ones were loose, these screws. I just tightened them up with a screwdriver. The old crappy wire, I had junk and everything, but now, boom. Does not appear to be moving, and it's not really an issue. So it's just really a grounding issue. They didn't put any, you know, dedicated ground in these cars. With dashboard's made of metal, this is made of metal, but if you have a couple of loose screws or it just doesn't kind of, if there's paint somewhere, it won't really make a connection. So that's all that was. Alright, a long time since I made a video for this guy, because the lady who owns it, she had to go to DMV to register it so I can drive it back. And I got to put the key, you know, the plates on it, but ultimately I haven't started it since before it snowed. So let's see. One pump. I want to see what happens with one pump. Okay, I'll do two more. Okay, so it was laboring a little bit, but it started up nice, not too high of an idle. Everything's working, and it basically stopped leaking oil. So I wanted to do that thing because it looked like the rear end seal just needed to break in. Obviously, I can't tell now, but the only problem with this car is the downshifting is really not working, and it's nothing I did because I noticed it before, and when I checked the mechanical linkage from the original setup, it was fine. It was adjusted the way it should be. So I was like, maybe I'm just overlooking something. I'm going to put the cable setup there. It's upshifts fine, but it doesn't downshift. So it's something, the valve is a little stuck, something along those lines, you know, but I'm pretty happy with everything the way it runs. But I got to test drive it one last time to make sure that the leak is not there. And I'm going to give it back to the lady, and she has my car, so then it'll be a swap. And everything's working out. It worked out really well with this car as far as how it runs and how it drives. It just that it sucks when you hit the gas and you can't downshift, you know. So I kind of want to address that right away. I got too much stuff to do. It's not stopping up from driving the car, but ultimately it doesn't mean the transmission is bad. It just means that this is something, because I kind of remember it working at one point, but that was maybe 7 years ago. I didn't really pay attention. But she would know better if it's been a problem, but she claims she's not ready for it anymore, so I don't know.